disappointed in every one of you.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I kiss you on the mouth.
No, I'm not cool with that. I'm sorry.
One more time.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I mean, I'm dealing with degenerate animals.
I'm disappointed in every one of you. Disappointed in every one of you.
All right, come on.
Honestly, I can't do it no more.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
Let me tell you why.
It's gonna be all right, Nicky. Go ahead, shoot.
We just killed those fucking men.
What are you going to do about it?
You're happy because you got nothing. You don't got a thing. You're happy because you got nothing. Lorito! Got nothing.
I want to get out. I want to get out of this rat hole. I want to get online. I need
BDA boxing.
All right. Well, welcome everybody to another Boxing Podcast, broadcasting to you live from the True North. It's a good friend, Mr. PDA, and I sure am glad. That's right, sure I'm glad that everybody could be on board for this one, fellas. In this episode, we got a fantastic one for you as we cover everything that happened these last two fight cards. And of course, right now, we just ended the Latin card from Saudi Arabia. Good fights all around, well, except maybe for Ramirez versus Barbosa, but we'll get to all of that. We're also going to be opening up the phone lines near the end of the hour. No, excuse me. Well, in about 45, 50 minutes, depending on how everything goes, because we got a lot to cover here, fellas. So stay tuned for that. Before we get on to the fun, let's get the business out of the way. You know the drill. If you want to donate a couple of shekels our way, you're certainly welcome to do so with the Super Chat feature. Although it's always better if you join the membership program. That way you get more bang for your buck. You can also join our Patreon page for as low as $2 per month. Help us finance our hard-hitting independent documentaries. We got a fantastic one coming up regarding Filipino boxing, so stay tuned for that one. And what else? Okay, but the most important thing is you guys continue to like, subscribe, spread that video gospel. Don't forget you can also check us out on Spotify, iTunes, and Spreaker at your leisure. All right? Now let's give a big shout-out over in the chat. I'm talking about Rafon Real, Sebastian, one of the initiated. Shout-out to him. Epadokua, Chitlin Distributor, SJW, Skull Kid 25, Double L, Quick Sloth, Virtuoso, Steph K Boxing, aka Official Scorecard Boxing, Dark Ado, one of the initiated, Grand G, Nightmare, another one of the initiated, who else? Kane Mack. And if I forgot anybody, it's because we gotta keep on going, fellas, but you guys know who you are. Team Batman Boxing, of course, right there in there as well. Ralph Unreal, Skull Kid 25. And many more people to come, I'm sure. Fellas, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. All right, let me call people here, see who shows up. We got a lot to get to here, a lot to get to in regards to the fight. And I suppose maybe people are going to want to give their opinions too on the big card. We're talking about Jake Paul. Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. I mean, my goodness, I got to tell you guys, I when I did the call-in show on Thursday, was it? I think it was on Thursday or Wednesday. I was saying that, it could go either way depending on which Mike Tyson shows up. Jake Paul's not a professional fighter. And I said, depending on if he shows up the way he did against Roy Jones, Mike Tyson's probably going to make Jake Paul clinch a lot. But at the same time, I said the other scenario could be Mike Tyson's 58 Even though he was a great heavyweight, 58, all the drugs, all the inactivity, his punch reaction is very important. People think like a professional fighter can just get off his ass and look sharp. No, man. They got to work that out in the gym. And at 58 years old, after all the coke and all the magic mushrooms and all the weed, you think... And then Tyson ended up saying that after the fight. I don't know if you guys saw that. He made a tweet where he said, I almost died and I had the blood transfusion and I lost a lot of blood. I'm thinking, well, there you go. I hope you're happy with your 20 mil. Now, the good thing about that fight was it was on Netflix. It was only $7, I think, if you ended up buying Netflix for a month. But my goodness gracious, people were booing that card at the end. I don't think there were many satisfied people other than the guys that got paid for that one. Sebastian says, bro, I could have knocked out Mike Tyson last night the way he was just standing. Well, I don't know about knocking him out, but I mean, I don't know. Maybe he thought that he thought it was going to be easier to just get off the couch and beat a non-pro boxer. But I'm telling you, this Jake Paul might not be a contender, but he knows how to box. And he's fresh, and he's in his 20s, and he can crack. And Mike Tyson, you could tell, he just couldn't react properly to the shots. Every once in a while, he was bobbing and weaving and slipping shots, but that's just one part of the equation. Now you got to hit the other guy. And he couldn't pull that one off. What else was I going to say? Well, I guess I'm going to hear more from people when they jump into the stream. If anybody jumps into the stream. Now, I want to talk about the fight, the main event. Let's start with the main event here today. I just saw Gilberto Ramirez unifying, if you can believe that, the cruiserweight titles with against Chris Billam-Smith. I got to tell you, speaking of not knowing who to pick, I didn't know who to pick in this one. Because I wasn't all that I've never been all that impressed with Zurdo. I always thought he was way too slow. He was always trying to be a slick boxer in there instead of playing to his strengths and coming forward, digging to the body, punching nonstop. He never really did do that. He always wanted to be a bit of a cutie in there, as I like to say in boxing, and that shit doesn't work out for him. It's amazing that 30 pounds north of where he started, that's when he's starting to look good. Why? Because now those guys are as low as he is. And he's looking, he looked good tonight. Slipping and sliding, pivoting, body shots. I mean, there was one left to the body that doubled, what's his name? Billam-Smith over. Well, Billam-Smith, too, you got to give it up to the dude. I mean, this guy we knew he wasn't a defensive master, but he was taking some bombs in there, and he just kept on coming, and tremendous shape, too, to still be throwing punches after all that in the 12th round. But Zurdo was just the better man tonight, and I wasn't expecting him to look that good, let me tell you. Wasn't expecting that at all. By the way, some people in the chat were calling him Cerdo, because he does look a little bit heavy around the body. And I don't know if anybody knows that. I mean, for those of you that are non-Spanish speakers, cerdo means pig, pork. And so that's what instead of zurdo, they're calling him cerdo. But anyway, he looked good today. He looked good. He deserves some praise, at least from my end as well. Because again, I've always been critical of the guy, or negatively critical of the guy. But he finally stepped up and looked good. Good for him. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like, hit the like, hit the like. Really helps us out. Always appreciate you guys giving us your support. By the way, shout out to Fluffy Toasters 89 for his contribution to the super chat. He says, "Count your days, Apataya. Zurdo is gonna crack that coconut." Well, you know what? Listen, after what Zurdo did tonight, who am I to be doubting him? But I mean, yeah, it's like I said earlier, his problem has always been his inability to handle speed, and Opetaya has that. In space. Now, the flip side, I could see maybe Opetaya having his way with Zurdo, maybe even hurting him early. And then maybe if Zurdo is still there and he's still coming forward and if he hasn't taken that much damage, maybe he could pile something on late. Because we've seen Opetaya now when he fought Brady's twice. Older guy, Brady's. And yet Brady's is the guy that ended up finishing stronger. Or at least in the rematch. You know, in the first fight, I forget how he ended, but I know for a fact it ended up with Opetaya with his jaw fractured. So, hey man, maybe Zurdo with one of those shots could do something like that. I don't know. Opetaya is a formidable fighter because of his mix of speed and power, but because of that, he has never really been tested all that much by any other opponent apart from Brady's. And, you know, Brady's was, 38 or something like that? So, obviously, I would pick Opetaya against Zurdo, but hey, might not be an easy fight. Might not be an easy fight at all. At all. What are people in the chat saying? Rusty Taylor says, I didn't watch, but let me guess. CBS was an unathletic British punching bag. Come on. I wouldn't call him a punching bag, but yes, defense is not his strong suit. Bucha says, Opetay is going to hurt Zurdo. I really hope I'm wrong. I'm rooting for Zurdo, but let's be realistic. Yeah, I mean, it's... like, hopefully people don't think that Zurdo is going to look the way he did tonight against everybody else at cruiserweight. Rafa Unreal says, Bucho, he's fine for a cruiserweight. Yeah, isn't it amazing, man? If this was 2016 and somebody, when Zurdo was still at super middleweight, and somebody would have told you, hey, one day this dude's going to end up at cruiserweight, yeah, you probably would have said maybe, because he's 6'3", right? Or something like that. So maybe you would have said, yeah, maybe when he's in his late 30s or something. He's in his mid-30s, or about to enter his mid-30s. He's 33. And he's fighting at cruiserweight and looking good there. I mean, I gotta tell you, that is unreal. That is bizarre. But you know, that's what boxing is all about. It's all about surprises. So shout out to Gilberto Zurdo Ramirez, who ended up winning this one. I want to get to the Barbosa Ramirez fight real quick, get out of the way. Barbosa ended up beating Jose Ramirez rather easily. And the scorecards were 97-93, 96-94. Oh, two scorecards of 96-94. I didn't see that. Now, interestingly enough, that fight was only a 10-rounder. And it was pretty easy for Barbosa. There was only a couple of spots where Ramirez let his hands go. Other than that, it was all Barbosa who looked rejuvenated. Again, both guys were coming into this fight after lousy performances. Barbosa had arguably lost against that Irish dude on the Ryan Garcia Haney undercard, and Ramirez struggled mightily against an old Barthélemy, getting stunned a bunch of times in that fight. So this was a bit of a crossroads fight. Take it or leave it, you know, make or break. And it's Barbosa that, and Ramirez's legs too. He used to be one of the best guys at cutting the distance and cutting the ring off. And tonight, he just looked like, yeah, I'm going to give Barbosa credit too, obviously. His speed, he's explosive, he knew how to maintain range. But Ramirez too, he just lacked speed. I mean, even 3 years ago when he fought Josh Taylor, he looked better than that. Then again, Josh Taylor might have been on the decline even back in 2021 as well. And so maybe that's why both guys look good, or relatively good in that one. But yeah, man, like somebody else said in that Discord, Prograis is past it. Ramirez is past it, and Taylor is past it. The three best guys from 140 pounds, or at least the best guys from you know, this generation. That's it, man. But you know, Prograis was competitive against Catterall. Taylor was somewhat competitive too against Catterall in both fights. Because even the first fight, even though I thought Catterall won that one clearly, I mean, it's not like he completely schooled Taylor. But yeah, but those guys are on the decline. I don't think they should retire. I don't think they're that far gone yet. But for I think Ramirez, for a guy who relied on pressure and inside fighting and making it rough, he can't do that anymore. But then the question now becomes, well, where does Barbosa go from here? He's wanted that Teofimo Lopez fight for a long time. Although Teofimo Lopez seems completely disinterested in fighting right now, and anyone other than Crawford. So yeah, it's almost like with Crawford, who seems to want to fight only Canelo and Canelo only. He doesn't want to fight Ennis, doesn't want to fight Ortiz, doesn't want to fight that new Russian monster that just came onto the scene. So hopefully something happens for Barbosa, because he finally got his big win, or his big name, and now we'll see what happens with him. Also on this card, and this is the fight that I was looking forward to the most, William Camarón Zepeda taking on Tevin Farmer, a battle of southpaws. And this was a bit of a preview for Zepeda to see how he would handle a slickster. That's right, I said slickster. And, you know, I thought I would give him a B for this performance. The surprise of the night for Zepeda was that he ended up hitting the deck against the light-hitting Farmer. No good. No good. You're getting, you know, I expected Zepeda, and you anyway, I think most people would expect Zepeda to get hit. He's a come-forward guy, southpaw. I mean, he's a come-forward guy, is what I'm saying, who throws a lot. So when you're throwing a lot of punches, you're leaving yourself open for counters. But to get dropped by Farmer, everything Zepeda did is fixable. Everything he did wrong, rather. Because what happened when he got dropped, if you rewatch it, he ended up jabbing, he stayed there in the mid-range, and he admired his work. He stayed there for a split second too long, and Farmer, one thing he still has left is good speed every once in a while. He was able to catch him with that left and dropped his ass. So Zepeda needs to fix that. You know, Zepeda's been fighting guys and ending it very, very soon lately. Finally, since the Alvarado fight or since the Jojo Diaz fight, he fought somebody that could stand there with him and go the distance. Although, again, bizarrely enough, this wasn't a 12-rounder. It's a 10-rounder. So Farmer sort of had a window of opportunity there, 2 less rounds of a beating. But that's the other thing, though. I think people were giving Farmer way too much credit because of the expectation that he was going to get run over. Other than the knockdown and a couple of good left hands that he landed, it was all Zepeda. He was coming forward, landing the body shots. By the way, this was a split decision, if you can believe it. The scorecards were... one just scored the fight, 95-94 for Farmer. I'm sorry, man. I didn't see that at all. It's interesting that people don't score the body shots unless they're for Devin Haney. Devin Haney backing up, landing body shots, that counts. But when the guy's coming forward, landing body shots nonstop, all of a sudden that doesn't count. I saw plenty of body shots from Zepeda and plenty of good jabs from him as well, among other punches that he threw. By the way, he threw 778 punches. Zepeda did. Probably would have thrown more, obviously. Probably might have gone close to 1,000 if it would have been a 12-rounder. Farmer, not that bad either, 587. He was forced to throw a lot of shots in there. Just couldn't keep up with the perpetual punching machine known as Zepeda. Real quick, shout out to Double L for his contribution to the Super Chat. He says, what makes Mike angrier, stepping on his toes or slapping that ass? Well, I'm not going to show you the photograph. But apparently during the telecast yesterday for the Tyson-Paul fight, they showed Mike Tyson backstage, and you saw only his upper body and his head. And he's saying hello to a guy, he's hugging and kissing the guy. Then he walks back to his dressing room, and his legs enter the frame now as he's walking into the background. And the dude was wearing nothing but a jockstrap, so his full ass was exposed to everybody. Almost saw his asshole too, if it wasn't for the jockstrap. And you could see the cameraman started zooming in, trying to avoid filming that ass. But Tyson was walking too fast towards the background, so at some point the cameraman ran out of zoom, so you could still see Mike Tyson's ass in full frame, almost overbearing the frame, overcrowding the frame. And everybody, now people are taking that picture and they're running and they're making memes about it. But it was a shock, man. Now, that's why some people are saying that this was a humiliation ritual for Mike Tyson to get outboxed, an all-time great boxer getting outboxed by a boxing novice, an annoying boxing novice on top of that. So yeah, man, that Mike Tyson thing, that was horrendous. That was a nightmare. And I don't know what to tell you, man. Again, humiliation ritual, that's all the craze now going on in conspiracy circles. Maybe that was part of the humiliation ritual for Tyson, to have his ass exposed in front of everybody. But then again, the guy used to be in prison, right? Yeah, the guys get used to nudity, male-on-male nudity and all that in the joint. So maybe he just doesn't give a fuck. I don't know. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like. Really helps us out. We're gonna. I'm waiting for more. If people don't show up, I will be opening up the phone lines. Maybe turn this into a caller show. But certainly a lot went on these last couple of days.
Great ass!
Come on, who's playing that?
Just because I love his ass doesn't make me gay.
That's right.
Great ass.
Come on. All right, now don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like. So yeah, with the Zurdo looking. I gave him a B performance for that. And I was always a little bit skeptical of Zepeda. Some people were saying he runs through everybody. I don't know. First of all, I still think he gives Shakur Stevenson hell. I don't know who wins that one. There were some people in the Discord saying that Shakur Stevenson smokes William Zepeda. And I've never seen Shakur Stevenson smoke anybody since the Valdez fight. And Valdez throws a bunch of looping hooks that you can see, that guy like Shakur Stevenson can see coming. Zepeda mixes him up, even though he's not as fast as Valdez, but he'll come forward. Valdez is not a pressure fighter. So again, Shakur Stevenson has never smoked anybody of note at 135 either. And even though maybe Shakur Stevenson could pull it off, his hands are very brittle. I mean, he's injuring his hands in sparring with 16-ounce gloves. He's gonna have to whack this dude nonstop to keep him off of him. And I don't see that ending well for his hands. And if he doesn't punch, that means he's gonna be running and trying to really fight in a negative ass style to try to minimize the damage that he takes, and that they could take the fight away from him if that happens. JP Farley says Zepeda was walking into shots and getting countered by Farmer. What do you think will happen with Shakur? Yeah, but is Shakur going to stand there and plant his feet to counter? That's the big question. I don't know. I got to tell you. And yes, you know, a guy like, but that's the thing. If you want to beat a guy like Zepeda, you have to. One guy that showed a good way of doing it, even though he didn't beat him, obviously, was Alvarado. I've said it before in another show. Alvarado was firing throwaway shots. So in other words, as Zepeda was trying to walk in to throw his volume, Alvarado was meeting him with that activity too, keeping him away. So he was punching with Zepeda. Now that's not easy to do. You got to have a lot of wherewithal and relaxation to do that. And so I don't know if that's going to happen. Now Shakur Stevenson went on Twitter and said that Zepeda is food for him. But let's keep in mind, Shakur Stevenson has talked about beating people up before. He said he was going to beat the crap out of Conceição. He did a lot of joeing before that. The only thing he ended up busting up was Conceição's nuts with all those low blows that never got called. He said he was going to whoop Edwin de los Santos and gave the worst performance of the last 10 years that we've ever seen, or at least one of the worst performances. And then he said he was going to whoop Hartunonian or whatever, the Armenian guy. And, you know, I give him credit for trying, but it was an uneventful fight as well. So if he returns to his old style against Zepeda, maybe he can beat Zepeda, but it's still going to be a tough fight for both guys. I don't think either guy whoops or smokes either guy. So we got Sobers jumping here. Sobers, are you there?
What's up, BDA?
What's up, man? Just covering I was covering the main event, the Barbosa fight. Now I'm talking about the Zepeda fight.
Ooh, let's not talk about Zepeda, bro.
Why not, man? Give us your thoughts on that fight.
I think Tevin Farmer presents a lot of problems. You know, and he's a tough dude, and I think a lot of people that are seeing this fight are going to think, Shakur Stevenson is going to smoke him now, and blah 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 because he got knocked down. I don't think they're in the same range. I think they're probably maybe in a similar range of power. And I felt like that was a flash knockdown on Zepeda's part. He even said he's kind of overconfident. And the style in which Tevin Farmer fought Zepeda, you won't see Shakur Stevenson doing that. He's not going to stay in the pocket and trade with this dude. And I don't think he'll be. And if you were to do that, I don't think he's nearly as durable as Tevin Farmer. So I think it was a close fight. It was a somewhat close fight. I think Zepeda was in control for the most part. You know, he really couldn't keep up with that activity, and it's a good stop for him to face. You know, prior to someone like Stevenson, you know, he didn't look his best, but I mean, this is the kind of shit he needs to see to improve as a fighter. So I don't, you know, it's not what is his best performance, but wasn't bad.
Yeah, he really needs to tighten up that when he's fighting a fellow southpaw. When he jabs, he needs to bring that right hand up. Because that's the other thing I forgot to say. When he jabbed, he dropped that right hand afterwards. That's one of the reasons why he was open. The other one, of course, was he stayed there a millisecond too long and got clipped with that left hand. He needs to tighten that shit up. I mean, you can't be a volume puncher and leave yourself that open. You're already open because you're throwing 100 shots per round. You're already giving a guy the chance to counter you. Now you're staying there. I mean, obviously, I know it's difficult to do that. I mean, you're throwing 100 shots. You're going to be tired in the round, but you gotta tighten that up, man. You gotta tighten that up. But yeah, well, but I was telling people, like, some people are saying, "Oh, Shakur Stevens is going to smoke Zepeda." I'm thinking, when's the last time he smoked anybody of note at 135?
He's never got. Can't remember the last time he's got a knockout without the referee's help. So I don't think he's going to hurt Zepeda.
Well, when he stopped that Japanese dude, that was legit, right? If I remember correctly, he didn't need any help from that one.
I don't think so. The dude was beating the. When the referee stopped it, it wasn't off a knockdown. It was the guy was in the middle of throwing a punch, and the referee jumps in like, all right. It was a terrible stoppage.
I'd have to rewatch that one. But yeah, but listen, this is the fight to make, man. Zepeda versus Shakur Stevenson, because who else is there? Lomachenko's taking a hiatus. Tank Davis is going to be fighting Lamont Roach. I mean, Tank Davis is just committed to not fighting any of the top lightweights. So this is the fight to make. And hopefully Shakur Stevenson, and I want Shakur Stevenson to be nice and healthy for this one, because I don't want to. Whatever happens, whoever wins, I don't want to hear any excuses of my hand hurt or my groin was hurt, my taint. I pulled my taint before the fight. Oh, by the way, that's what. Okay, so let's go. I want to go back to the Tyson card because I ended up having to drop out of your. Most of us were watching the fight over at Casa de Sobers, which was a great night, by the way, Sobers. But I had to end up dropping out by the main event. What were people's reactions after the fight?
Everyone felt cheated.
Well, wait a minute. To feel cheated doesn't that? No, I was gonna say to feel cheated doesn't mean you have to pay for the fight. But anyway, like specifically, what like for example, what did Dora say, or some of the other guys that were there, like I am the leader. Quentin Lassiter was there. Maybe he's telling me not to name names. Maybe that's what
everyone wanted their time back. That's what I mean when they said they felt cheated. Because what I noticed was Mike Tyson, he couldn't do anything in the fight. And then when I think Jake Paul hit him with a jab and he knocked him off balance. And like it looked like Mike Tyson's knee almost gave out. So once Jake Paul knew that he was really in there with the 60-year-old, kind of held back a little bit.
Hey, Sobers, I'm sharing the screen with you. Click on that and then look at the woman on the right side next to Tyson, be like next to Tyson's back. You see that? Sobers needs to sober up. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, that face that woman is making, that is the face that almost everyone was making after the fight. That face of ultimate disgust. Look at that face. Pretty sure a lot of you guys have seen that face, by the way, when you ask a girl out. No, I'm kidding. No, but yeah, that's. Let me go to the chat and see what people are saying about this fight, because I don't think I talked enough about that event. Double L says Sobers pitched at 10. Come on. What are you talking about? Quickslot says did not need to see that. Are they talking about Tyson's ass? Yeah, I think that's what they're saying. I'm Your Leader says it was embarrassing. Noe says he took pity. He could have knocked him out. I don't think, you know what? I don't think he did, because that's what he's saying now. He said that in the press conference, Jake Paul. He's like, well, I could have knocked him out if I wanted to. But right after the fight, in the ring, he said, I was afraid of getting knocked down. Which is, I think, exactly what happened. I think he was content to peck his way to a decision. A little jab here, a little jab there. One combination per round. That was it. Because remember, these were 2-minute rounds. One combination, and then he would run away. He was afraid of a 58-year-old. It was an embarrassing fight. And I still can't believe that people actually thought. Then again, I said myself, I said, look, if this is a Mike Tyson from the Roy Jones fight, yeah, I think he could make it interesting and force Jake Paul to clinch all night long. But at the same time, I said, this is a 58-year-old guy who has to get off the couch after years of drug abuse and unhealthy lifestyle to try to take this dude. So, I mean, it was an embarrassment. I tell you what, though, the undercard was good. But I'm going to get to that later. I still want to talk a little bit about the card real quick, the Latin Night card. By the way, I'm going to open up the phone lines soon, so make sure to stay tuned for that. And don't forget to hit the like. So we talked about Zepeda versus Farmer, which, by the way, that should have been the co-main event. I don't know who decided to make Barbosa versus Ramirez the main event. Okay, of course, you thought that it was going to be an interesting fight, on paper at least. But if you have Zepeda and you're going to put him on the undercard instead of the main event, which he should be always, you shouldn't put him as the second to last fight on the undercard. He should have always been the last guy to pump. Imagine if we would have had Zurdo, Farmer, and then, if we would have had Camarón versus Farmer, and then Zurdo versus Billam-Smith back to back. That would have been fantastic. But no, they had to put, somebody decided, somebody pulled the trigger on Barbosa versus Ramirez. Outrageous, outlandish, and unconstitutional, if you ask me. But the other fight that took place on that card was Oscar Collazo. Now I see we got Recognized jumping here. Recognized, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Right.
I'm having issues with this fucking excuse my language, this Discord canto cabrón.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you if you were there, because I saw you in and out there. But did you see the Collazo fight against CP Freshmart?
I saw the highlights. I saw the knockout.
You're turning into Chief, by the way, with all the highlights.
So-
Now, well, listen. I know you're a
always-
busy guy. I know you're a busy guy, man. You can't be sitting down watching fights back to back. You got a life, unlike me. But
No, I got a bunch of like, yeah, kids, just teenagers running crazy. So sometimes I gotta like, you know what I mean. Anyway,
well, I want to get.
yeah, I watch highlight.
The Collazo, man, this dude ended up stopping CP Freshmart, who, I mean, first of all, CP Freshmart was never all that dominant, but he did have a bunch of consecutive title defenses. I know people made a big deal about him being the longest reigning titleist, even though that's not that hard to do anymore when you got 4 titles per division. But still, Collazo encountered some resistance from CP Freshmart and then ended up stopping him in, what round was it? I'm looking here for the round. When was that? Fuck, doing the gears. And the 6th round. Okay, 6th round stoppage from Oscar Collazo. I'm telling you, Collazo, the first time I saw him fight was when he won his title on the zone. And ever since then, this dude has looked impressive. He has looked impressively consistent. And with this performance, which ended up getting him the Ring Magazine title, I think close to top 10 pound for pound. I wouldn't put him there just quite yet. I still think a guy like Taraji, even though he's had some up and down performances himself, I would still have Taraji ahead of him in the pound for pound rankings. But Oscar Collazo getting there, man. Oscar Collazo getting there. Southpaw, quick-handed. Like I said, he encountered resistance, but he ended up making adjustments, pushing the pace, and he just ran through CP Freshmart. By the way, CP Freshmart, as you can tell from the name, is from Thailand. They have those names. Their sponsors end up legally changing their name or something like that. So that's not his real name, but that's what we're going to call him here. And because he's from Thailand, every time he would land a shot, at least when he was having success in the fight, Freshmart's trainers would yell, "Hey, hey, hey!" They would every time. Even sometimes he would miss, and they would still yell, "Hey!" And on the Discord, we were talking about that. It was getting annoying. I was very close to muting it. So usually I do mute the sound because I don't want to hear the commentators. But this time I was actually listening to it and hey, and it started getting progressively louder. Hey, and more aggressive, thinking, what the fuck? And then finally Collazo put everyone out of their miseries and ended up stopping CP Freshmart. But yeah, that was bizarre, man. I don't think I've heard a corner man scream that often. Hey, that reminded me of the Bangkok days. You know, when you walk into the Bangkok market and they try to get your attention, hey, almost like an Indian, Native American chant. Hey. But yeah, man, that Collazo, very impressive. And another good fight in that card was Oscar Duarte, who you might remember ended up getting cheated against Ryan Garcia. Every time Ryan Garcia was doing the bussy roll, that's when in the clinch he would turn his back to his opponent and then bend over and spread his ass cheeks. And then he ended up catching Duarte and stopping him. But Duarte is a strong dude, calm forward guy, and he took on another calm forward guy in Akhmadaliev. Is that his name, Akhmadaliev or Akhmadaliev? Yeah. Who, you know, you got to feel bad a little bit for Akhmadaliev because this dude always brings it. This dude is a hard fighting man who comes forward, throws a lot. He throws in bulk, a little bit like Zepeda, except without the power or the heavy hands. And every fight he's lost is very close. He lost to Barrios. I thought he should have won that one. Then he ended up losing to Puello, a very competitive fight. Although I do think Puello won that one. And then his last loss was against Kenneth Sims, who was supposed to be fighting Duarte today. Then ended up pulling out 2 weeks ago, I think. So gotta feel bad a little bit there for Akhmadaliev, but hey, that's boxing, man. And it was a close fight. Akhmadaliev's trainer Diaz said that he was going to retire if they didn't give Akhmadaliev the decision, and he ended up walking out of the ring as soon as they announced the decision. Actually, Akhmadaliev had to walk behind him to go get him. But yeah, man, you got to feel for Akhmadaliev, but it was a close fight. It was a close competitive fight
with Duarte, right?
Yeah, it was a good fight.
Let me warn you, BDA. Like this Discord might kick me out again. I don't know what the hell's going on, but.
Are you on your phone or where are you at?
No, I'm on my phone.
Just same old phone as always.
Same old phone.
Did you restart it?
I don't think I did any. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. I was going to ask, did you restart it?
You think that could be the problem?
Perhaps I've seen it work before.
Yeah, I did restart.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah, I'm thinking maybe that's the problem. I don't know.
No, well, I mean, if you restart it, usually that might fix the issue. I don't know, but you said you already did it, so I don't know what that could be then. But what did you make of Oscar Collazo?
Yeah, I mean, the kid is. I've heard a couple of people in the chat in the Discord talk about him, especially what's his name? The twin, Eric, Dora.
Oh, Dora, yeah.
So Dora talked about him a lot, and so I looked him up a few times, and the dude's badass. He knocked him with what was it, like a body shot, right? Wasn't it a body shot he knocked him out with?
I think that's how he ended it, right?
Started to the body.
I think so.
Yeah, and then he beat that guy. That guy's had I don't know how many title defenses. I mean, okay, maybe they're not super impressive, but he was a champion for like 7 or 8 years, or something like that. And so, he's good. I'm definitely looking forward to watching him fight again. Like I don't really know much about guys that low, 105, 108, whatever weight class that is. They're like midgets to me.
Well, yeah, I understand. It's almost like women's boxing. There's a lack of appeal. There's a lack of appeal for people that's to watch guys that small fighting each other. But with Collazo, he's flashy, and you know what? Usually, guys that small at minimum weight, they don't hit hard. Even Ricardo Lopez would outclass certain guys, but he wasn't really that. There weren't that many other guys who could crack. This dude can crack. Oscar Collazo.
Well,
So it's quite,
right? Well, Carvajal fought at 108.
Carvajal fought, yeah, that was 108, right?
Fuck, that dude, it almost seemed like he hit like a welterweight.
Yeah, man, he was flat-footed. That's why he hit hard, because he planted his feet and says, let's go to war, man. But let's see what happens with Collazo, because there's not that many other guys out there. I think one of the other title holders is a guy that he already beat. And he's not that long ago, so maybe he should move up to.
Is he like clean? Has he cleaned out that division to the point where he's fighting them again?
Well, no, I mean, yeah, there's not that many guys. I mean, listen, every guy down there is tough, especially since a lot of those dudes I've never seen them, so they pull out surprises. But at 108, Kenshiro Taraji just left. So again,
okay, that's the name I've heard a lot. That's the name I've heard. You just named him. Taraji.
Excuse me. Yeah, Taraji. Yeah, he's good. He's good. Very good.
Yeah.
Reminds me a little bit of, he's Pacquiao-esque. In and out. He's not a southpaw, but he's very good, man. He's very good. There's the guy that he could fight over there, Collazo, if he runs out of competition at 105, is Yabuki. He's the first guy. Nope. He's the only guy who ever beat Taraji, but then ended up getting knocked out in the rematch. And just recently, he ended up beating Nochingas, who's that South African title holder. Pretty good, too. And this dude, Yabuki, ended up stopping him. So, hey, there's a good fight to make.
There's an African guy named Los Chingas?
No, well, his name is Nochinga, but I call him Nochingas. Oh, Nochingas.
Okay, I was going to say, that's kind of odd, right?
I mean, hey, listen, you got to have fun with the names every once in a while. You got to have fun in life. But, so that's a Collazo thing. All right, let's go back to that Tyson thing here. Because recognize, what were you expecting from the Mike Tyson-Jake Paul fight?
Something like this, to be honest. I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. I've listened to, I've talked to certain people that grew up in that era. One of them is like my uncle, my brothers, and they're like, my uncle got the impression that Mike Tyson was taking it easy. Let me just say this: that stream, because it was free on Netflix, basically. So if you had a subscription with Netflix, you could get the fight.
Uh-huh.
So many people must have fucking been logged in that it kept buffering. It just kept buffering, and So anyway, so my uncle said that he thought Tyson was taking it easy. And my brother and myself, I'm like, nah. It almost seemed like after the third round, Jake Paul felt like he could knock Mike Tyson out, and probably chose not to. You know, so then I heard what you said about the post fight interview, and he was basically saying that he didn't want to get dropped or anything like that. So I don't know what to make of it. I mean, the fight was shit, obviously, because Mike just looked too old, man. You know, he's just way too old, and Jake Paul's a decent boxer. He's a decent boxer, but you could see that he's a guy that you know, he doesn't come from boxing. He's a novice. Pretty good for a guy who came from, you know, his background and how he started boxing. But, you know, it's still not like, you know, the shit that we're used to seeing. Top-notch boxing.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Real quick, shout out to Earl Stevens. Shout out to Earl for reestablishing his membership program. Shout out to Earl. And Earl says, Mike showed his ass and then sold his ass. a backdoor deal. A backdoor deal that did damage to boxing. A lot of puns in there. Sold his ass, backdoor deals. But yeah, man, I mean, I have to assume he knew that he wasn't prepared for a professional fight, because, I mean, or maybe part of him thought, hey, this dude is a amateur. I'm going to be able to just get off that couch and with my experience, I'm going to be able to get him. But that's the other thing I kept saying, and a lot of people kept saying too, it wasn't just me. Those 30-second clips, I said, you know what the fuck are they really showing us? That he can explode for 30 seconds? And then I did see one video in the week that was longer than 30 seconds. He's hitting the punching bag. He was hitting the uppercut bag. And there's a bunch of people surrounding him for some reason. And he throws a combo. Okay, fast for his age. Impressive. And then he would stop for 30 seconds. And then punch again. I'm thinking that you don't win a fight that way. Especially when you got a guy running like Jake Paul. You gotta be explosive. And being explosive every 30 seconds in a 2-minute round, it's impossible to win a fight that way unless you catch the guy clean with one punch. And, you know, he would hit the bag, and then wait 30 seconds. And then he would hit the bag with 2 shots, and then you would hear one guy go, oh, yeah, nice technique there, Mike. Nice technique. It's like, what nice technique? He's going to have to be ferocious in that fight, chasing the younger guy down. And he just didn't have it. So 70,000 people showed up to that venue to watch it. Apparently, somebody in the chat said 60 million people are estimated to have watched the fight live. Could you imagine, other than in Japan or somewhere else, where else are 60 million people watching a boxing event? This was a huge event, and guess what? People were booing by the middle rounds and by the end of it. And they should have been, because this was a disaster. Maybe not business-wise, yeah, they made good money, but now the question is, where does Jake Paul go from here?
Yeah, I mean, they made a lot of money, right? That's what they fought in Dallas, where the Cowboys play, and like 70 million people showed up. So that's pretty good. He's gonna like once you get those big fights. Like I'm assuming he's gonna only be chasing big fights. I heard him say he wants to fight Canelo.
Well, I think, you know what? I think that's all he's got left, because he's been like, even the Mike Pyle fight. I don't know how big an event that was. Anything he does now is going to pale in comparison, unless he fights Canelo. Other than that, and by the way, I think, you know, Bucho. I was talking to Bucho. Bucho says Canelo knocks this guy's ass out. Just knocks, because I mean, he's going to tire him out. Just going to tire him out, and then. I was even
thinking, like, if Jake Paul came in more or less the same weight, let's say 220 in that ring, and Canelo's like 185, he still beats the dog shit out of him.
Of course, yeah. And so then the question is, where does Jake Paul go from him? He's gonna probably go back to fighting a MMA guy, an old MMA guy, who's pretty good with that. Maybe he'd go after Masvidal. Or maybe but Masvidal just recently lost to Nick Diaz in a boxing fight, so maybe he'll rematch Diaz. I don't know, but it's really that's the other thing. Somebody was telling me the other day, in the real world, somebody said, this fight's bad for boxing. I go, you know what? Look, if you look at this event as being part of the boxing world, then yeah, you could say it represents boxing, but it doesn't. To me, this is taking place in another world. This is something else. This is like bare knuckle fighting. So I don't think it really hurts boxing that much. It was a 58-year-old guy who's been away from boxing for a long time, taking on an amateur. What the fuck does that have to do with boxing, really? So no, I don't, you know, and it didn't have anything to do with the regular promoters. So again, I don't see anything wrong with that. I tell you what, though, the undercard was good. Abel Ramos versus Barrios.
That was a good fight. The Barrios and Ramos.
Yeah, man. I mean, Barrios just can't go 12 rounds against a puncher without hitting the deck or getting hurt. He got stopped by little Gervonta Davis, even though, obviously Gervonta Davis dehydrated him with that dehydration clause. But then Keith Thurman hurt him too, beat him decisively. And now Ramos goes in there and almost stomps the guy. Busted, I know Ramos was busted up around the eyes too, but Barrios, when he gets busted up, he looks like the Doom character when your health is low. He looks like he's about to pass out, bleeding from all over the place. His face gets swollen too.
You know what I realized? Barrios looks exactly like El Gallo Negro. He looks exactly like him. I didn't even think about it. I was like, oh shit.
You're saying that because did you see the meme? Did you see the meme that someone did on what they took all these guys that look like boxers? That was a good one, man. Must have taken a lot of work to find out people that look like that. Maybe the guy who did that used AI or something to find the faces, the guys that look like professional boxers. But but Barrios.
Let me ask you a question, BDA. Why does Barrios starts off jabbing and he's doing good? Then his jab just disappears. I mean, I know people make adjustments, but it looks like without the boxers making adjustments to the jab, his jab just goes away, like poof, disappears.
Yeah, it's. I gotta say, I gotta wonder.
Do you think he's lazy or what is it like?
I just think his endurance.
Follow the game plan.
Some guys just don't have good endurance, and what I mean by endurance is, the whole package of stamina and being able to keep your hands up and staying alert for all 12 rounds. He doesn't have that. And then, but at the same time, Ramos is a puncher, a legitimate puncher. Even when he loses, he manages to hurt guys. So there's no shame in getting clipped, but getting clipped and getting outworked the rest of the way, he's lucky he escaped that fight with a draw. Really, because that could have easily gone to Abel Ramos, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it turned out to be a draw, right?
Yeah.
But did you see that one scorecard that had it for Ramos? They had it big for him.
I mean, he was the guy pressing the action. Although, again, you mentioned the fact that Barrios started off with a good jab. He did drop Ramos. Technically, it could have been a first knockdown in there early because he buckled Ramos's legs, and I think Ramos's glove grazed the canvas, which could have been easily called a knockdown. But then, like you said, the other guy turns it up, and all of a sudden, Barrios starts falling apart. Yeah, I think Barrios is his food for any of the tough. But again, the 147 is a wasteland. But I think Geronin beats him. You know what? Maybe Barrios catches him early and hurts him or whatever. But then, because we just saw that Ennis's defense is full of holes, more holes than Swiss cheese. But he does hit hard, and Barrios, as we can see, he doesn't know how to deal with power. Can roll with the shots. I think maybe that's the problem. He doesn't roll with the shots. He weaves, but for a tall guy, he should be able to maybe roll with the shots a little bit more. But he just stands there and covers up, and he's not that strong to be able to block those shots. The other thing was there was another fight. That was female boxing. And a lot of people in the Discord were saying that the big debate was who makes a better sandwich between Serrano and Katie Taylor. I think that was the one that was the most difficult to figure out. But other than that, yeah, the good undercard fights from apparently the guy from my neck of the woods, Lucas Badie, Canadian fighter, big puncher. Apparently he got outworked by some Italian dude. And they ended up giving the decision to Badie, and people were complaining on social media that it was a bad decision. Roy Jones even said, allegedly, I heard he said that Badie should thank his promoter because he's the one that gave him the win. I don't know. I'm going to try to find that fight and see what happens. But yeah, Badie, this is the second fight in which he's looked bad because in the last one, he was getting outboxed by a 20-year-old prospect before Badie bailed himself out with his power. So this dude, Badie, was calling out Tank Davis. I mean, I'm sorry, Badie. You got to know where you stand in boxing. And you can't beat a 20-year-old prospect. Or if you're getting beat up by a 20-year-old prospect, what do you think Tank's going to do to you? And this is coming from a guy who thinks Tank's overrated, by the way. the other thing I wanted to say was, okay, yeah, here's something interesting, guys. So Mike Tyson ended up, apparently he only threw 97 shots in the fight. Terrence Crawford ended up tweeting, I love Mike, but that was horrible from you throwing 97 punches, blah, blah, blah. And then somebody replied, yeah, but when your boy Shakur Stevenson does it, it's a masterclass, right? And I said, oh. Yeah, Terrence Crawford should step
back.
Terrence Crawford should stay off Twitter, man, because he was complaining not that long ago about how, the boxing fans, they don't know, they don't know shit about boxing. They don't really know boxing. Okay, so now this dude, old man, threw 97 punches, and you're calling him a shit for it. But when Shakur Stevenson, a young man, throws almost that amount and runs around the ring and jumps around the ring shaking his ass, that's a masterclass, and boxing fans are idiots for not appreciating it. I mean, I got to tell you, I'd love to see how Crawford looks when he's 58. Let's see how he looks in there. I mean, we'll see what happens. I don't know. That's why I don't think
he'll be like Mike.
I mean, I don't know, man. You know what? Recognize that's what they always told me, man. Respect your elders, because one day you will be an elder, and you're gonna want that same respect back.
And listen, you could prolong your youth for like so long, but eventually you're gonna get weak.
Even you, right?
Happen. Even me, even the great me. I mean, it's gonna probably with me. With me, it's gonna probably happen around, I say 90. You know what I'm saying?
You're gonna be like Methuselah. What was the name of that biblical character who lived until he was 140 or something like that?
Something like that.
You're gonna hit. You haven't even hit your peak yet. That's the scary part.
I think I'm in my prime right now, and I'm in my 50s.
I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it. So yeah, man.
I would have kicked Jake Paul's ass. Let's be honest. If I was in there, I'd have beat him. I'd have beat him into submission.
I mean, that you mentioned the fact that Jake Paul is not a bad fighter, and I'm starting to. I agree with you. He's got good technique when he throws his shots, at least when he's fresh. Because once he gets tired, the technique goes out the window. But that's the interesting thing, because professionals, when they get tired, they can still maintain that technique somewhat, because they've been doing it for so long, and they train until they're tired, and even when they're tired, they're still throwing shots. So they're conditioned to look good when they're doing that. Jake Paul, you can tell he's not there. When he gets tired, you can tell he's tired, flailing, clinching. But what do you think happens next with Jake Paul? Recognize, like if you had to wonder, speculate.
I mean, more likely he's gonna want to fight Canelo. That's his ultimate goal. But maybe Canelo ignores him. For probably, I don't know. Maybe, who knows? Maybe Canelo's like, you know what? I got a couple of fights left in me, and I'll if this fight could sell, I'll fight this dude.
That would probably do immense amounts of viewership, man, because that would bring in the Mexicans. That would be bringing in I mean, can you believe the amount of money that fight would make? Oof. And
that fight. And please don't call it Mexico versus Puerto Rico. Don't you dare call that fight.
Man, why not?
We're gonna fight. I'm gonna fight them.
You know what? You just gave them an idea. They listen to these shows. They listen to all the boxing shows to try to get a feel for what the boxing world is saying. Now you just gave them an idea, man. Good for you, Recognize.
Is he calling himself El Gallo?
El Gallo de Oro, I think. The golden cock.
No.
Yeah. The golden rooster, rather, not the golden cock. Rapax Trucking Company, shout out to Rapax, says Rosie Perez. Yeah, by the way, Rosie Perez was one of the announcers for this
Jesus
fight.
Christ, I heard that.
Rosie Perez should have been replaced by Carol G. Andrea Ward should have been replaced by the comedian Dennis Miller or Kill Tony. And Roy Jones should have been replaced by Oscar De La Hoya. Well, first of all, I don't know who Carol G is, but if you would have had Kill Tony in there, I think Kill Tony, that's the guy that did the Puerto Rico joke, right? At the Republican. Yeah. I don't think he makes it out of the arena. No. Oh, by the way, Recognize, you know what I heard? Somebody was telling us, I forget who it was, on Casa de Sobers, that Serrano's trainer, who's very hands-on, by the way, I don't know if you noticed that. Apparently that dude is going out with Serrano's sister, And there are rumors that the dude is banging both of them. Now, if you were in the same position, like you're training this Puerto Rican fighter, and she's not that bad looking, and then she's got a sister, would you indeed try to immerse yourself in for a ménage à trois, or is that just should a coach be getting involved in that type of stuff?
I know it's going to sound hard to believe. I've never been into the sister thing.
Is that right?
Never really got. Yeah, never the twins. Now, don't get me wrong. Like every other man, two girls at the same time. That's fine with me. Just the whole their sisters, their cousins, shit like that. Not even like a best friend. It'd be like more like. I'm sorry, I'm going into my fantasy, but you get what I'm trying to say. Like I'm not into like. That's crazy. So Serrano, she's not that good looking. You think she's good looking?
She's not bad. I'm not one of those dudes that goes like, oh yeah, but I mean, I think
would like to look at her sister and then like do a comparison, because Serrano's is a boxer, and to each his own. I guess some dudes are attracted to athletic, strong women, and maybe that's what he's into. But maybe his sister, maybe her sister, the one that he's dating, is totally opposite. If they're similar, then you know where this guy's mind is at, right? Like that's his type. If they're very similar, I'm talking about like she's an athlete, she's strong like her sister, just not as famous, not as good of a boxer.
Well, I don't know what the sister does, by the way. So,
but can you imagine if she's like totally feminine, like she's like the total opposite of her sister, and you'll say to yourself, "Damn, this dude he likes to mix it up."
Yeah, he likes a contrast. Maybe it's like when you eat it's like when you eat chicken and waffles and with a lot of syrup. I mean, it's a contrast that makes it good, right? The salt with the sweet.
And waffles are good, man.
Absolutely,
waffles are good.
By the way, shout out to Chet Collins. Shout out to Chet Collins for his contribution with the super chat. He says, how did you all score Zepeda Farmer? Were you all of you guys who were saying Tevin gets knocked out? Johnny Boy.
I thought Tevin was going to get beat up. I thought Tevin was going to get his ass beat, but that fight was a lot better than I thought.
Yeah. I mean, Zepeda is not a knock you out with one punch type of guy, even though it's been looking that way. It's mostly usually because he wears guys out. Some of the guys he's been wearing out aren't all that. Tevin Farmer said it himself. He said some of the guys are unprepared for his pressure, but evidently Farmer was prepared. There was a lot of clinching in there too, though. Now I gotta call this out because Harvey Dock was the referee. Now this is the same dude that last week deducted a point from Karen against Ennis for clinching. This time.
Yeah,
no such thing.
Himself.
No such thing here tonight. Why is that? I mean, Farmer was clinching. How come he? See that this is what pisses me off about these referees, because people go, "Well, clinching is part of the game." Okay, evidently it wasn't last week. Now this week it's okay to clinch. Same referee. See, I mean, how can he not enforce the rules? It's selective enforcement, and that's a problem. Because it
goes to show you that that these referees are definitely compromised in terms of their job, because they look. I don't want to say that that's exactly what they're doing because I don't know, but it's obviously like they're getting a talk to, and it's like let this guy clinch for this one, dock him for the next one. You get what I'm saying? Like, it depends on the fighter. Or maybe there's something inherently biased about this dude. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's the thing though, because against Karen, Ennis was the A side. I'm not saying he's an A side boxing wise. In the world of boxing, he's not a superstar, but for all intents and purposes, in that promotion, he's the A side. In this one, Zepeda was the A side. He's the guy that's being set up to fight Shakur Stevenson, a big fight down the line at lightweight. How come? So that could mean that Harvey Dock thinks. No, I mean that makes no sense. So why wouldn't he penalize the B side, Tevin Farmer, for the clinching? See, right. like again, I'm not gonna cast aspersions about anybody being biased towards a certain race, whatever, or nationality, or ethnic group. But I mean, it was bizarre today. I was watching this fight, going, I can only wonder what would have happened had Farmer not be giving the chance to smother and clinch, the way he was given the chance to by Harvey Duck. But hey, it is what it is, man. At the end of the day, Zepeda ended up winning the fight, so no harm, no foul for the moment. But you just never know, man. You just never know.
It was a good fight, man. I enjoyed it. I thought
it
was
was
good.
a better fight than expected. That's for sure. Hey, by the way, fellas, don't forget the phone lines are open. We just opened them up, so we're gonna still be here for another half an hour more. Then we gotta go. But make sure to call in, and we got a phone call here. Hold on a second. We got a couple of things to get to. Let's go to 929. 929, you're on the air. 929. What's your mind?
What's good, BDA?
What's up, Virtuoso?
Hey, so I wanted to talk about the fight between CBS and Zerto. I thought, I didn't give Zerto a lot of credit, beforehand, before this fight ever took place. I thought the same thing you thought, that Zerto is like flat-footed, and guy has his heavy hands, but it kind of reminds me of Benavidez. But in this fight, I've seen some tricks of his that I haven't seen beforehand, and that's stepping around, moving the pocket, and not even like taking up space around the ring. Like, he was really good in terms of footwork and punch combination. CBS, like, to me, showed that he's kind of limited at world level. I was kind of expecting him to kind of make the fight a lot dirty, and he kind of did. But Zerto had the answer for that, and I give him credit for that. I think honestly, I think Jaya Bataya is in for a really good fight if they were to make that one. So credit to Zerto, man. He won the fight fairly, but CBS is like, he's very limited. I heard people saying that he should change trainers. I'm like, what are you going to get out of him? It's like, he's showing you what he has, and he's not very fleet-footed. He's more flat-footed. Like, he's not like, one of the things I saw is that every time he tries to throw, he's there to get hit, because Zerto knows how to counter, and what Zerto knows how to do is try to make himself smaller, which is kind of good to fight against somebody who tried to throw his hook, and just dip underneath him. And the one thing I give CBS credit for, he's trying to invest in the body, but he doesn't know how to move his head. So it really doesn't matter who his trainer is. It is what it is. And Zerto, to me, I think has shown like championship pedigree, because he has been a champion before at 168.
Yeah, man. I mean, he impressed me for the first time in his career tonight. It's amazing that he had to jump up 30-something pounds to finally look good. But against Opetaya, man, I don't know, man. Too much speed, too much power. But like I said, the flip side to the coin is that Opetaya, if you can take his power and you can take him into deep waters, he sort of falls apart a little bit. But that would mean Zurdo would have to make him work, and he'd have to be able to take the shots early. And I don't know if he has it in him to do that. I don't know, man.
I think he does. I think he's shown a good chin, because like CBS is also heavy-handed. But the thing that I saw from Jai is that against an older like Breedis, like, he has some signs of fatigue. When he's not able to put his opponents down, and they're able to hang around in both those fights. He was able to be in a very difficult situation as far as taking some shots in return. So if the fight is in close quarters, I would favor Zerto, because Jai doesn't have much of an inside game. I think he's more effective on mid-range outside. If the fight slows down, I think Zerto can pretty much close the gap on him.
Well, we shall see, man. We shall see what happens. We'll see if they even make that fight happen. All right, well, listen, Virtuoso, man, we got to move on here, but thank you for your call, and call back next time.
No problem.
All right, take it easy out there. All right, he's got confidence in Zurdo, man. Let me tell you, I think that's what Zurdo managed to accomplish.
I didn't get to see that one.
You think so?
I didn't get to see that fight. No, I'm saying I didn't see it.
Oh, okay. You didn't see. It was a good fight, man. It was a
Yeah.
back and forth. Well, not back and forth affair, but I mean, it was CBS. Chris Billam-Smith. He gave it his all, man. Kept coming forward. Got all. He looked like Shazar said in the Discord. He looked like Vitaly Klitschko against Lewis. The way he was cut and everything. He gave it his all, man, but just couldn't.
Yeah, he got his ass beat, right? Like bad.
Yeah, people were saying in the Discord that Zurdo was looking like Zurdo Lomachenko. The way he was pivoting around the fighter, peppering him with shots. He looked like Pernell.
He's shown that in the past. He's shown that in the past that he can do that. I forgot.
Yeah, but against,
yeah. Lower level.
Hopefully people aren't getting too carried away. But then again, I got to give him credit because I didn't think it was going to be that decisive for Zurdo. So he proved me wrong tonight. Hey, maybe he proves me wrong against Zepeda. I don't know. Let's go to another phone call here. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like, hit the like, hit the like. It really helps us out. Let's go to 510. 510, you're in the air. 510. What's on your mind?
Hey, BDA, can you hear me?
I can hear you, man.
Oh, well, I hope you guys are having a good evening. I want to speak on that Harvey Doc thing. It just seems, for a while, for a couple of years, he was honestly like a okay rep to me because he didn't intervene too much. But as of lately, he's been a topic at hand of a couple controversial bouts, like the Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney one. Like, it just seemed kind of funky. He was kind of like setting Garcia straight because he was hitting the other guy. Like, what the fuck do you want him to do? Like, it wasn't his fault. Like, Devin Haney was there, and he didn't call a couple of like the knockdowns, which I believe were knockdowns. It wasn't really just like, oh, he lost his footing. It's like, no, Devin Haney was holding on, and he couldn't hold on for longer after Ryan Garcia hit him, and he dropped to his knees. That one, and like you were saying, the Tevin Farmer one, it's like, I don't want to say, but I think I have to. I do think there's some kind of bias in between race because, once Karen Chukasian was doing it with Jaron Ennis, he warned him and deducted a point. But when it comes to Tevin Farmer, he's holding the whole time, and I had to even look back on it and see if he didn't ref Haney versus Linares too, because I remember in that fight it was a crazy amount of holding, like in the last three rounds, I believe, where Devin Haney was holding for damn near like 30 seconds. But yeah, it just seems like Darby Hawk. I don't know. There must be some kind of talks behind the scenes because it seems like like an on and off performance with him as of late. And then I know you guys don't follow the women's boxing as much, but the bout yesterday, I don't know. A lot of people are blaming. They're only blaming Katie Taylor for the headbutt that happened, but she does. Let's say that she does lead with her head. Even her own trainer said, "Hey, we've been known she leads with her head since the first bout, and we see in other fights she tends to do it." Well, that guy didn't fucking do his job because if he didn't warn Amanda Serrano, like, hey, don't get too close if you're not expecting Katie to shoot her own punches, well, that's on them. They should have addressed that caution because from what I see, Amanda really likes to get really close, but, I mean, what'd you expect? Katie Taylor was punching back. So if she does lead with her head, it's nobody's fault. It's just, it just happened. It just so happened that there was a clash, and anything after that is fair play. If the team didn't want to stop the fight, so I thought the right woman won, and there's a lot of people. A lot of people are going up in arms about it being Katie Taylor, like, oh. But nobody seemed to fucking care when Andre Ward was headbutting the shit out of Kessler.
I have to apologize. As soon as you said women's boxing, I completely zoned down and stopped listening to you. No, I'm kidding. Now, you know what, man? You bring up it brings up a good question about, because I did see some of the fight there at Casa de Sobers, and she was, sometimes it did seem like she was leading with the head. But again, the question now becomes, well, how do you determine whether she's doing that on purpose or not? Because some people just have bad technique. Have you watched any other of Katie Taylor's fights before?
Yeah, I have watched, and it seems like when she... What I've noticed is
let me just ask you real quick.
Hand, she leans forward.
Okay, so that's what I wanted to get to. Is that something that she usually does in other fights?
Yeah, she definitely does. She kind of leans over her front foot a lot right before she punches. So, but like I said, the guy in question of banging the sisters, even he said, well, we've known this for many of her fights. We've seen her for many of her fights. She leads with her head. Well, you didn't do a fucking good job because she got cut in her last fight and she got cut in this one. So. Obviously, you guys knew that was a tactic. It could have been a tactic of Katie's, but you didn't fucking address it enough. I'm guessing.
That's a good point. Got to make a big deal out of it before the fight with the ref and the commission and all that. Otherwise, it doesn't go on the record. But if you complain enough, it goes on the record. Like, hey, we warned you it was going to happen, and you still let it happen. What the hell? Listen, we got to move on.
He was saying. Oh yeah, well, we'll take a third fight, but it has to be fair on even grounds. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I mean, I think this fight happened once too many, if you ask me. Well, listen, we got to move on here, but thank you for your call and call back next time, right, man? Take it easy out there.
Thank you, BDA.
Thank you. Let's go to a phone call here. Let's go to 210. 210, you're on the air. 210, what's in your mind?
What up, BDA? Southpaw.
What's up, Southpaw? Hey, did you end up going to the fight?
Yeah, I went, and I had a blast, man. Like, you guys, I think a lot of people are looking at the fight the wrong way. I mean, if you expected Mike Tyson at 58 to come out guns a-blazing or Jake Paul to go in and blast him out, like, I don't know why you would see it that way. I mean, you said it yourself. It was a good undercard. And so, it was a good undercard. It was a big event. They filled that place up, and that place was filled with people who don't normally go to fights. I go to a lot of fights. This wasn't a boxing crowd. There was a lot of money people. There was a lot of women, hot women. I mean, there was women everywhere, like smoking women. Like, it was good because do we want more attention for the sport or not? We're such a niche sport. And then when Jake Paul comes and does his sideshow, you can call it boxing, you can call it sideshow, whatever you want to call it. It's bringing new people in. So why y'all complaining? You know, why y'all complain? It's on a Friday for free. It's not on the same night as another card. You know what I mean? They're putting on other fighters on the card. They got paid really well too. So it was fun, man. Like, it was nostalgia. You know, it really was just like a celebration of our last great icon in Mike Tyson. I mean, everybody had Tyson shirts on, fake tattoos on their faces. I mean, it was like a celebration for Mike, and he deserves it. He got $20 million. Come on, like if anybody, I don't know why people are looking at it the wrong way. So the undercard was boxing, okay, and the main card, it was just kind of like a showcase for Tyson to go 8 rounds. Jake didn't hurt him, and I'm glad they had that gentleman's agreement. And I'm more of a fan for Jake for it because he could have took Tyson out. So, I mean, it was what it was, man. Like, people are looking at it the wrong way. You see what I mean?
Wait a minute. Did you expect it to be that horrendous a main event?
Nah, yeah. I mean, I didn't expect it to be a fight. Yeah, I mean, Tyson's 58. Really, like he's 58. And honestly, Jake Paul's. I mean, hate him or love him, he is a master at this promoting shit. You know what I mean? Like, this dude is making a lot of money for a lot of real fighters, if you want to call them real fighters, making a lot of money for real fighters, bringing a lot of eyeballs. And those people that don't normally go to fights that were there, they saw a great undercard. So guess what? They might be like, I want to see, like, I'm not big on women's fighting, but that fight was awesome, man. Everybody was on their feet, like, applauding and cheering after the fight was over because they loved it. So it's like they saw Barrios go through a tough war, and against Abel Ramos, they both got bloodied up. They both got dropped. I mean, you're getting new eyeballs on the sport, and we're celebrating Mike Tyson at 58.
But wait a minute.
Y'all are looking at it the wrong way.
Listen, I was suspicious about the main event, but most people weren't, especially the people that were willing to pay money to show up to that event and watch it. They certainly, they were promoting.
I paid a lot of money.
Well, that's what I'm saying, but they were promoting this fight. Tyson and Paul were promoting this as it was going to be a real fight. So I do think that people who paid money to go watch that fight have a right to complain about how horrendous the main event was.
I mean, people had fun, man. I didn't see anybody complaining. Everybody was just, I think everybody was just excited to be in such a big event and seeing, it was like I saying, it was like a throwback. We got to see Mike Tyson do a ring walk. He had one round and that was it. But that was cool, man. I didn't want to see Mike Tyson get hurt. You know what I mean? I really did. Like anybody who thought that was going to be a real fight. Come on, you got to be a little naive, man. Come on, Jake Paul 27, Mike Tyson 58. He almost died like 6 weeks ago. Like for real, like it was just more of like a nostalgia thing. And y'all say Jake Paul's not a real fighter. Okay, well don't call it a real fight because y'all don't give him respect anyway. So you know what I mean? I mean not y'all, but I'm saying like what people say.
Yeah,
so
but I mean
he's putting real.
He calls it a real fight. He calls it a real fight. Mike Tyson called it a real fight.
That's promoting, BDA, bro. BBDA. That's promoting. Promoters
okay,
say.
I mean,
look at what all the promoters say about all their fighters.
Right, but these people who showed up,
they made money.
These people who showed up, and I saw with the camera was panning to the crowd. I saw some of these people. They were boxing casual. Some of these were kids. There was a lot of people that I could tell facially. I know how to read people that they never watched boxing before in their lives. They duped those people, and let me tell you, I don't know, man. I in the middle rounds and by the end of the fight too, as well. I heard a lot of boos. That didn't sound like people having fun to me.
Yeah, I mean, there's gonna be those, but like everybody was pretty happy with they cheered for Tyson and Jake because they knew in the end. Okay, at the end, by the middle of the fight, you could tell it was a gentleman's agreement, and I don't think anybody would have been happy if they saw the all-out fight. So they had real, quote unquote, real boxing on the undercard. I'm sure every single fighter on that undercard is super grateful to Jake Paul for putting him on such a giant stage, and they got a lot of money. I think Barbosa got like $3 million, something like that. That's crazy.
All right,
that's
so
crazy, you know.
Good for those guys. Good for those guys. But do you think that people who, like I said, I heard a lot of boos, and those people that watch Jake Paul and Mike Tyson, I think a lot of those dudes are going to have second thoughts about buying the next Jake Paul pay-per-view. I mean, not pay-per-view, but the next.
Well, maybe. Yeah, maybe. You might be right, but you also got to realize that Jake Paul kind of painted himself into this villain role. So yeah, they're gonna get boos, man. They're gonna get boos. But honestly, being there, I think I had a great time. Everybody there had a great time. It was a crazy atmosphere. I mean, there was money people there. There was women everywhere. People were drinking. People were jamming out. Man, it was fun.
Well, I mean, you said
like,
that you said already that there were
fights.
You said already that there were people. You said there were hot women and a lot of people with a lot of money. That sounds like my house, first of all. But just for the record, are you saying that it was, even though it was an aesthetically horrible looking fight, that you still enjoyed the main event?
I mean, I could, yes, because I didn't expect it to be a fight. I knew it was going to be a fight. If it was going to be a fight, it would have been worse. We would have been worse off because we would have saw Mike Tyson get hurt, and so nobody would be happy with that. If people aren't happy with what they saw, that's cool. But it would have been a lot worse had Tyson got like just embarrassed. You know
I don't know.
I mean?
I think, you know what? I think that would, for me, that would have been worth that would have been a lot better than what we saw on Friday. If Mike Tyson would have gotten his ass knocked out, you know what? And that's the other thing, man. I don't know if they showed it on the big screen where you were at, but they showed Mike Tyson's ass. And that to me was a shock. That was assault. And they should be paying us for that shit. Did they show that? Did they show that in the big screen?
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, this is boxing, man. Anything goes in boxing. Boxing's like one of those weird sports where it's just a goofy shit happens, and you just got to laugh about it, man. You get to see. We've seen crazier things in boxing, right? We've seen the parachute guy. We've seen, you know what I mean? We've seen. It's just like that's just what it is, man. Sometimes we get that because it's such a rogue and wild, wild west of a sport. But that's the thing, man. Like it was free for everybody. And they got it. It's a big platform. They did. I hope they keep doing a platform like this because it was. And the only reason it was buffering, they got to clean it up, was because there was that many people watching. That's why, and that's good. That's good for boxing. That many people are watching boxing. That's good for boxing. I'm telling you, we needed this. Like we like boxing is on the edge of just being like in a really bad spot, man. After Canelo's gone, there's nobody else, man. There's nobody else. So it's like, who else is going to, like, they're not going to make Tank a star like Canelo on the Canelo level. So when Canelo's already on his retirement run, so when he's gone, we're in trouble, man. So we need all the help we can get. I mean, I like Paul, man. I get props for Paul.
Well, maybe you're right. Maybe you're right about that. But Mike Tyson he made excuses after the fight, saying, "Well, I almost died." Blah blah blah. I'm thinking, well, he wouldn't be saying that if the fight looked good. He knows it was horrible, and he's probably reading a lot of common sense.
I didn't see it like that, BDA. I thought more
I know
in the
you didn't. I know you
context
didn't because
I won.
I know you didn't because you already said you only wanted to go there for the event and bask in the ambience.
Well, no. I mean, because if you see his reply, it's more of like, he's like he has no regrets. I posted that. He said he has no regrets. He called it. He brought that up because he called it a win, and he's like, I got to go on a big stage in front of my kids, in front of a crazy crowd, versus a young guy. He's like that's all I wanted. So like it wasn't an excuse.
Yeah, it was an excuse. On top of that, because he's saying why. I mean, he's saying, well, look, considering the fact that I lost a lot of blood and I almost died, I'm happy with what happened. That's an excuse.
He overcame that.
But that's what I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying. If he would have looked good, he wouldn't have brought that up.
He doesn't need an excuse. He's 58.
I mean, that is an excuse. That is an excuse. An excuse is a reason.
He's like fucking Tyson.
Was that recognized?
Like Tyson's lawyer.
No, I mean, I'm just seeing it a different way, man. I don't think it hurt boxing. I think it was free. Again, they're not asking you to pay any money for this, and a lot of fighters got hooked up. More eyeballs in the sport. The people who don't watch boxing saw a great undercard, and the people in the building loved it. It's just I don't think it's as bad as everybody says it is, man. Mike Tyson got $20 million. He's 58. I wasn't expecting a fight. I'm glad it wasn't a fight, bro.
Well, listen. I'll say this: I'm not one of those people that says, "Oh, this hurts boxing," because this was separate from boxing. This isn't. I don't even casuals. I think understand that this isn't real professional boxing. These ain't contenders going at it with each other. That being said,
it was infusion.
I still contend.
It was infused with boxing. It was like a celebration, kind of like a sideshow infused with real fights on the rest of the card.
I still contend that the main event. I still contend that they sold this as a real fight. And even though some of us suspected that it probably wasn't going to be that, a lot of those people that showed up, it seemed to me, did think that. That's why they were booing by the end. Not necessarily because Jake Paul won.
I mean, that's what promoters do. And it's not bad for boxing. You know what's bad for boxing is Tank not fighting nobody. Canelo not taking 6 cherry picks in a row. Shakur stinking up the ring. Ryan Garcia.
Southpaw.
That's bad for boxing.
Just because promoters do that doesn't mean it's okay. That's my point, too. I mean, they duped a bunch of people.
And fighters promise fights all the time. Oh, we're going to do this, that, X, Y, Z. And then they go in there and they put a stinker on.
Yeah, and guess what? People complain. And guess what? People complain about that. So it doesn't, nobody goes around saying, well, it's part of boxing. It makes it fun. It's part of the party that these guys talk on Twitter at each other and they fight each other on Twitter. I mean, that come on, man. It was a waste of time.
Yeah, okay, back to, I'll just make my last point one more time. I didn't see it as a fight. So I saw real fights, and then I saw Tyson, Paul for what it was. And I'm glad it turned out that way, man. It was a good night. I'm telling you, if you were in the building, it was a blast, man. That place was jumping. But, yeah, man, we'll see what happens, man.
All right. Hey, by the way, Recognize wants to know if you got into any fights in the stands.
Yeah, because we saw a lot of fights.
I almost did during the Barrios fight.
What?
Yeah, because there was some loudmouth New Yorker. I don't know if he was a Italian or something like that. Where he was calling Barrios burrito. He's like, "Come on, burrito! Hey, burrito!" And I'm like, "Hey, bro!" I'm like, "Hey, bro!" I was like, "Hey, bro!" I go, "Yo, that kind of sounds a little fucked up, man. Just be careful, dog. Just be careful." I was like, and I was telling him respectfully, "Yo, that kind of sounds fucked up," because he's screaming it. And then he starts getting real mouthy, and I was like, "Well, make your move, bro. Like, I paid a lot of money. I'm not gonna go at you, but if you want to come at me, I'm right here, bro." But he was just one of those that just talk, yelling. He didn't he was all bark, no bite. I was just like, "Just make your move, bro. Just other than that, shut up." But yo, it was crazy.
Well, you weren't kidding when you said you had fun over there, man. That was during the bars?
Yeah, it was a blast, man.
All right. Well, listen, Southpaw, we're gonna move on here, but thank you for your call and call back next time. Take it easy out there.
All right, guys.
All right. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like. We're going to stay here for a little bit longer, although I have to go soon. Recognize, he said, loudmouthed New Yorker. I'm asking, why did you keep calling Barrios burrito? That was fucked up, man. What's the matter with you?
I'm sorry, BDA.
I'm sorry. He doesn't even deny it. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like, hit the like, hit the like. I want to just read this comment real quick from Official Scorecard Boxing, who says, hold on a second, I'm trying to show something here. Okay, but Official said, BDA, also Paul was stiff, Paul versus Tyson. Paul was stiff-arming Jake was stiff-arming Tyson, and the referee said no measuring / stiff-arming. But when Shakira does it, his cheerleaders say it's legal. Yeah, I mean, it's selective enforcement of the rules now at this point. Some referees allow clinching, others don't. Some referees allow low blows, some others don't. I mean, it's insane. You're supposed to... and then when a fighter dies, this...
fighter safety.
Yeah, fighter safety, but you don't mind guys getting hit behind the head, low blowed. Clinching,
yeah, no blow. As long as it's your guy.
Yeah, as long as it's your guy, he can break the rules. But then when a fighter dies, you guys who criticize fighters, you don't know what they go through. It's like, all right, why don't you go wash your pussy? What's his name? What's that?
I said exactly.
Yeah, man. I know I'm talking a lot right now, so you jump in there and talk when you have to, man. It's just I'm trying to keep this going here. Trying to keep this momentum going that we get. Recognize? Oh, shit. He left again. He's having trouble with his Discord. All right. Shout out to Anderson Aldo, who gave me this to play. Hopefully there's no copyrighted music. Hold on a second. Where is it? That was short and sweet right there, man. Oh man, yeah, I'm traumatized by Mike Tyson's ass. I mean, I gotta tell you. By the way, hold on a second. I gotta read his message. He said, "Are you this?" Fuck, I don't know if you wanted me to invite him. But yeah, man, that was fucked up, man. That whole card. I mean, that whole event, that with the ass showing and then the main event sucking. I gotta tell you, man. And then, I mean, so many people were trying to log on that it was actually buffering. I have it on good authority that somebody was watching a pirated stream, and the pirated stream never buffered, believe it or not, which is ironic. Let's go to another phone call here. Let's go to 205. 205, you're on the air. 205, what's on your mind?
What's up, BDA? What's happening?
Oh, Uncle Charles, man, what's up?
Man, let me tell you something. Let me tell all these fighters something.
Mm-hmm.
You sit there and talk about Jake Paul, but Jake Paul don't brought something new to boxing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't take him serious, but you can't hate his game. Because while y'all sitting there deciding on y'all don't want to fight each other because somebody's scared, they all gonna go. Jake Paul will be going to the bank and becoming a billionaire. So they need to really check Jake Paul out. He making money. He got that bag last night. 40, 50 million? While you sitting up there negotiating because you're going to lose your O, and then you got to give out half of your purse, and he getting all his money. And I want to say this to Mike Tyson. Mike, we love you, bro. Ain't nothing wrong with, losing the fight. I mean, come on, man. You ain't fought in 20 years. But I do got some issues with what happened last night. Let me tell you something. I'm up there trying to eat me some lemon pepper wings, and Mike done brought some ass to the table. You know what? I couldn't even sleep last night. I could not even sleep last night. Mike, both his ass cheeks do look like two brown pieces of sliced bread. Come on, man. Mike, whatever you do, damn you going to the hospital. Damn you signing the autograph. But please put some goddamn clothes on. Because right now, I think I got to go see a psychiatrist after seeing that. Let me tell you something, man. We was all right. Everything was doing fine. Until Mike came in the locker room, assed out. Let me tell you something. I need not tell you. I hope somebody had a can of Febreze up in there. Because Mike lit it up in there last night. Mike said, I ain't putting no pants on. My ass is out. I don't give a damn if I stink. I don't care. It's your goddamn problem, not mine. And I'm going to say this in closing. Y'all better peak game. Say what you want to say about Jake Paul. He made $40 million while you getting a half of your purse and losing your money to these promoters. Jake getting all his money. Peak game. And that's all I got to say. Appreciate it, BDA.
All right, shout out to you. I appreciate you, Uncle Charles. Thank you for calling in, man. Good to hear back from you, man. And take it easy out there.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
Oh,
hopefully.
speaking of that, man. Yeah.
Recognize. So hopefully somebody had a box of matches in there because I don't know. It looked like it didn't smell all that good in that locker room.
Didn't you almost get the impression when he did that shit? He was like telling people, "Kiss my ass."
Yeah, that you know what? Yeah, that's almost it's almost like a flex, right? Like I'm gonna show you my ass.
Like, kiss my ass.
It's a flex. It's almost like I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna moon 60 million people watching. That was fucked up, man.
Mike Tyson is a strange soul, bro. That's a. I don't know. I don't know what to make of Mike.
But yeah, I was actually thinking about that when Uncle Charles said that. Yeah, I imagine people watching this fight, like having a fight party, watching. They're eating chicken wings, they're eating a tuna sandwich or something, and all of a sudden that ass appears on screen. You know what? I'm gonna YouTube that. I'm gonna YouTube Mike Tyson's ass reactions. There must be some people. There must be reaction videos of people watching the fight and then their reactions to Mike Tyson's ass. That was insane, man. One of the most disturbing things I've ever seen. What else, man? Yeah, man. I mean, we covered a lot of these fights that took place. There was a lot of boxing. What's next on the docket? Next week we have nothing. The 23rd on ESPN Plus. Bakary Samaki.
Okay, so we don't got nothing next week.
Nothing, man. It's a bunch of Frenchmen fighting on ESPN Plus next week. It's guys that I've never heard of before.
Wow.
I did want to ask you something though, incidentally, now that you're here, because I've been, I was trying to make some lists about, top Mexican fighters of all time, Puerto Ricans, Filipinos. Growing up, what was the one name? I'm pretty sure you heard a lot of names. What was the one name that you usually came up constantly from the guys older than you, the old hits? Puerto Rican
older
fighter.
dudes?
Puerto Rican, yeah.
Of Puerto Rican boxers.
Yes.
I would say at that time, what's his name? Ortiz. Carlos Ortiz. Esteban de Jesus. Gomez. Benitez. When they were like still boxing, but the guys that I mentioned were like Ortiz and De Jesus. They were kind of like I think Ortiz might have been retired, and De Jesus might have been like at the ending of his career. So he was kind of like washed up at that time.
Uh-huh.
But they were like, he's real good. He beat Roberto Duran, which is all true, right? So he was really good. Those were the fighters that they were mentioning, the Puerto Rican fighters that they were mentioning at that time.
Yeah, apparently Wilfredo Gomez, well, that's a sad state of affairs that a lot of these Puerto Rican greats ended up dying before their time. Like Camacho, De Jesus ended up dying of AIDS. Gomez is still alive, but he's all fucked up. I don't know what happened to that dude. I think maybe, I don't remember.
I heard it was from drugs.
Oh, maybe, yeah. Because I don't remember Gomez taking that much punishment. I mean, yeah, maybe later on in his career, because he didn't train all that much later on in his career. That was one of the things. He liked to party, but I don't know.
Yeah, he definitely partied a lot with Gomez.
So, yeah, it's kind of hard to see those guys walking down the streets now. But so Trinidad is still the number one guy, right? Like the popularity-wise?
I think he might have been the most popular Puerto Rican fighter. He might have been the most popular one.
Yeah, because I remember talking to you. I remember you've mentioned that before, that Cotto doesn't really, I mean, yeah, people showed up to watch him fight at his peak at Madison Square Garden the day before the Puerto Rican Day Parade. That became his, like the Cinco de Mayo for him. But I know for a fact that Trinidad, whenever he walks down the street, he's like the Chavez for Puerto Ricans nowadays. It's like people, when he walks down the street, people just,
yes,
Tito,
That's why I think I liked Trinidad a lot, because like he's definitely a top Puerto, like he's probably no less than top 3 in my opinion. But his popularity is what makes everybody fans of him.
Well, then that begs the question. If Shakur Stevenson fights William Zepeda, that's Puerto Rico versus Mexico. Are you going to be rooting for Shakur Stevenson? Oh, there you go. The silence is it all. He's going to be rooting for his fellow Boricua, Shakur Stevenson. I don't blame him. I would as well. You gotta, like people say, you gotta stay on code. Real quick, shout out to Chet Collins for his contribution with the super chat. He says, Jake versus Francis, anyone? He can get revenge for Mike. Francis. Oh, you talking about Julius Francis? Is that the guy? Is that the British?
Is he still alive?
Who's he? I think, well, wait a minute. Is Julius Francis the British guy that beat Tyson? Let's see. Julius.
Yeah, I think so.
No, Julius Francis was the guy that got beat up by Tyson. So I think he meant someone else. No, it was with a D. His name started with a D.
What are you talking about? His last loss?
No, well, his second loss before he ended his career. He fought a guy in England, a Brit, and he was actually beating him before Tyson pulled his knee. He tore his knee or something. Hold on a second.
I know he's a black guy, right?
Danny Williams. That was it. Danny Williams.
Danny Williams. Yeah. Danny Williams.
Yeah, maybe Jake Paul should fight that dude. Maybe he should fight all of Tyson's, everyone that beat Tyson except for Lewis. He should fight Buster Douglas.
You know what's crazy? After the 7th round, Mike Tyson went back to his corner, and he made the same noise right before he got knocked out by Lennox Lewis. He sat down and he was like making this weird face, and they were like compressing his his face, and he goes, ah. I said, shit.
Oh boy.
You done, bro.
Yeah, that was a sign right there, man. This dude was done, man. He spent all his energy. He was so excited showing his ass to everybody that that was an adrenaline dump for him. He couldn't regain that second win. And shout out to Rapax Trucking Company too for his contribution with the super chat. He says, BDA is a machismo channel. No women's boxing. I love women's boxing. No, what's he saying? Women's boxing because these women are pretty. I could easily fall in love with Julissa Alejandra Guzman. Julissa Alejandra Guzman. Okay, let's look her up. But I'm not going to put her on the screen just yet because it could be like a tranny porn actress or something that he wants us to put on the screen. Julissa Alejandra Guzman. Not. I mean, yeah. I mean, I see. I see why people maybe. Why not? She Mexican? Well, she's behind the Mexican flag, I think. Hey, she's got a heart tattoo on her face. What does that mean? Does that mean she used to be passed around by gangs? Is that what that means? I don't know. A female with facial tattoos? I don't know. I gotta tell you, I just don't know.
Bad sign.
Bad sign, huh? Yeah. Dead giveaway. Yeah. Remember that dude that ended up saving the woman from the guy that kidnapped him kept him in the basement? The Afro-Anglo guy, remember? He's giving an interview and he goes, I knew something was wrong when a pretty little white girl ran into a black man's arms. I said, something is wrong here. And then he goes, dead giveaway. Dead giveaway. Dead giveaway. What the fuck? That dude, he did that all on the spot, man. Live, a cappella. Shout out to, what was his name? Charles something? What else was
I remember that. The funniest interview ever.
You imagine that you save a woman who's been trapped in a basement for years, and he starts doing comedy routines on camera.
I mean, what else can you do at that point, right? Because he's probably like, "Who the hell will run to me?"
Exactly. Yeah, he was a weird looking dude too. On top of that, it's like you're right. Now the interesting thing is, we still have a couple of fights going on, like at the end of this month, not that much going on, but we got to wait till the end of November for Sonny Edwards versus Galalia fight. That's a decent fight. Then on beginning of December, the 7th to be more precise, Emmanuel Navarrete rematches Oscar Valdez. Then on the undercard, you got Rafael Espinoza rematching Robeisy Ramirez in what was a fight of the year contender, if not the fight of the year for 2023. I forget. Richard Torres is fighting that day too as well. That very day, the same day, Liam Paro is taking on Richardson Hitchens. And in Puerto Rico. Because I guess now that Paro beat Matias, I guess they feel that he can draw in Puerto Rico. They also had Henry LeBron, another Puerto Rican prospect. I mean, another Puerto Rican who happens to be a prospect taking on El Pitufo Diaz. That's a good fight right there. Incidentally,
I don't like all these white guys taking over Puerto Rico. I don't like this shit.
Hey, man, it's globalization, man. Comes with the territory, as Floyd Mayweather would say. You know, incidentally, Henry LeBron, that dude, he actually outboxed the guy I mentioned, the Canadian guy, Badi. He outboxed him in the amateurs. It's on YouTube. That was the first fight that I saw where I said, yeah, this Badi guy, he better learn how to fight close the distance. And he doesn't seem to be able to do that, man, at the high level. Recognize, in terms of Fury versus Usyk, that rematch, they were advertising that fight, the rematch on the zone during this event. It's still about a month away. Do you think that rematch happens?
I'm gonna say 85% yes.
85.
Yep. 85% of the fight.
What gives you 15% of doubt?
Fury. Fury always gives me some doubt. He could literally go crazy, you know? Like, that's it. That's just how he is. He'll come up with some injury, maybe legitimate too, because he's just crazy.
Well, you know what? That reminds me. Where did you stand? Remember when the fight initially got postponed earlier this year because of a Fury cut, supposedly? Where did you stand on that? Did you think it was fake or?
I look. This is what I thought. I thought it was fake, but let's say even if it was legit, I thought it was suicide. And had he gone in that ring with him and in the original day, I was like, no, he'll get destroyed. So maybe it was good that he postponed the fight, 3 months later. Because I just saw him losing bad. I'm not gonna say killed, but just losing bad. And he still lost the fight. But maybe he was more competitive because he had time to prepare. More time to prepare.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna be. First of all, I don't know. You never know with Fury because I mean, it's like the boy who cried wolf. He was delaying the fight so much through negotiations that by the time that cut happened, a lot of people predicted that he was gonna do something to pull out of the initial date. Yeah. So that when it finally happened, it was like Epstein. Well, when Epstein got arrested and you knew that something was gonna happen to him, it's the same thing. You could see it coming, and so that means people don't trust the judicial system. Same thing here. People just don't trust Tyson Fury. And that's why I'm asking the question is, do people trust Tyson Fury to make it to the rematch?
I think the closer we get and, he's still in it, the more confident I become that the fight's going to happen. And I still haven't really looked at him in his training. I haven't seen anything. I haven't been looking either. So, I can't say that there's no videos of him training. Because I'm not sure who I'm picking. I guess I'm just going to stay with Usyk beating him again. For right now.
Yeah, for right now, man, because I got to tell you, I expected a boring fight the first time around. I thought it was going to be sloppy. I thought it was going to be clinching. I couldn't figure in my mind how it was going to look, the size discrepancy and the height discrepancy. It actually ended up being a much better fight than anticipated. But again, I got to go back to this. A lot of people picked Usyk to win. It's almost like they thought all he had to do was show up. I have to emphasize how hard Usyk had to work in that fight to get the win. He won, and I do think he won most of the later rounds, but he had to keep coming. Think about it. He's coming forward against the bigger guy. He was eating some murderous punches early on, especially to the body, and he kept on coming. That takes a lot out of a dude. I mean, think about it. None of his heavyweight fights, well, other than the Witherspoon fight, they've been relatively tough. When Chisora, he had to work like hell in that one, constantly moving his hands against a grizzly bear in Chisora. The two Joshua fights, he took some damage in those fights. He took some good punches from Dubois too, especially that low blow. And now that the Fury fight, those early rounds where he said he hit me with an uppercut, it was only God that kept me up. I think Fury, if he kept his ass clean and if he stayed in shape, I think he could still pull it off against Usyk. But I don't know, man. Him crawling on the floor out of a pub, I don't know. That's not a good look, man.
I'm saying if he's clean and he's taking it serious, he could beat him for sure. For sure, he could beat Usyk. I don't think he's. Well, look. The reason he lost is because he was flirting with a loss. It had to happen. So maybe this turns things around and he takes it more serious. And anyway, if he's going to win the fight, he's going to have to. He has to be all in. Because unless Usyk is, like, hey, like, I'm going to give you a chance to win, and I already accomplished everything I wanted. If he's coming in there with that mindset, then that could be different. But if Damo Usyk, which I would expect, he's going to have to bring his A game like he usually does in rematches to pull this one off.
Yeah, I mean, Usyk, like I said, he brings his A game all the time. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to beat these bigger guys. I mean, he's redlining it. And at 30, he's 37, 38? The body can only take so much. He said himself he has to eat constantly to stay at this weight that he's
guys should be beating him. In other words, he has to work hard to beat them, right?
Exactly.
He has to be on his A game. He can't afford to make mistakes against these dudes. These dudes should be beating him. But because he's on his game and he's a highly skilled fighter, he minimizes the mistakes that he makes.
I mean, I think Usyk's one of his biggest weapons is the fact that he just never gives up. You have to break his body to break his
will.
Because his will not be broken. That's the thing. So Fury, he's got recuperative powers too. He's shown it against Wilder and all those other times he's been dropped. You just can't keep him down. But in terms of working round to round, minute to minute, he can't keep up with Usyk. Now, that's the thing, though. I've been talking with Bucho about this, and Bucho says, well, the whole problem with Fury started when he started dropping his hands, especially in that ninth round when he got wobbled. I mean, he let Usyk get close to him, and fucking Fury had his hands down. If he keeps his hands up, Usyk is probably going to try to break through the guard and everything, but it's not going to be as bad as if he keeps those hands down. I mean, if he keeps those hands down, eventually Usyk is going to catch him with an overhand shot. So keep those goddamn hands up. That's number one. And then number two, obviously, is maybe switch it up every other round. One round, you be the aggressor. Then the next, you make Usyk walk into something. Then the next, you try to be, you know what I mean? Mix it up. One guy that used to do that was Andre Ward. He would fight hard in the clinch for a round. And then the next, he would actually box a little bit. And he'd go back inside. You throw off a fighder that way. Incidentally, Andrew Ward was one of the commentators yesterday for that women's fight where the headbutts occurred. And he said, during one of Taylor's headbutts, he said, "Ooh, nice headbutt. That's a good technique on the headbutt." So that he's a headbutt connoisseur. I think he called it veteran tactic. He called it veteran tactics.
Did he say I'm jealous?
Yeah, he said, "Oh man, even in my prime, I couldn't pull off a headbutt like that." By the way, Mark T, shout out to Mark T in the chat, says Fury should flask his ass like Mike did. Yeah, what about Oregnas? You think that's a good idea to shock maybe Usyk?
I could see him doing that though.
Mike,
I'm surprised. I'm surprised he didn't do it already.
Yeah, I'm surprised too, man. And I mean, that would be a sight to behold because he's a fat dude. So you can imagine that ass is he probably has a Hank Hill ass. You remember in King of the Hill? Hank Hill, there was an episode where it turns out he didn't have an ass. That's why his back hurt. You probably don't know what I'm talking about. But yeah, if people get that reference, you know what I'm talking about. He's got the Hank Hill ass. Also want to give a shout out to somebody donated the super chat. Hold on a second. Rapax Trucking Company. Shout out to Rapax Trucking Company who says, "I'm glad we don't have the same taste in women. That means we can get along because we won't be checking each other's women out." Yeah, that's how people become best friends, when they have different tastes in women and they don't have to fight for a woman. That's the best type of friendship there is right there. Shout out to the Rapax Trucking Company. What else was I going to say? Shout out to LT in the chat. I don't know if that's the real LT. Some people like to. It's the what's the word I'm looking for here? the new thing, the popular thing now is to just fake people's names. But if that's the real LT, says shout out to everyone in the panel. I'm taking a huge caca. Yes, you know what? Something tells me that's not the real LT.
I don't think he would.
Yeah, I don't think that's.
I don't think he'll volunteer that information.
Right,
yeah.
or maybe he would. I don't know. You never know with LT.
Right, he hasn't made a comment in so long. But his first comment is gonna be like, "Hey,
hey man, the masses demand to know, man. People want to know. People are curious nowadays on the internet." Yeah, that's about it, man. That's all I've got about this. Apparently, there's UFC too. Recognize? Are you into that?
Not really. I mean, I'll watch it sometime. Whether it's with, I'm watching with the family or on Discord. I don't know. I'm really not into it. I'll watch it, but just listen to everybody else and what they have to say.
Yeah, sometimes they start too late too. The main events. It's like midnight 15. Even later than the boxing. Sometimes I go, do I really want to stay up for this rigmarole?
Boxing. That's crazy.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, it's insane, man. Because boxing usually starts maybe at the earliest. It starts at 8 p.m. Eastern time. These dudes, they start at 10 p.m. Eastern time.
John Jones is fighting tonight, right?
That's right.
Yeah, I'll probably watch it.
Apparently, Anderson Aldo is saying that this dude is ducking a guy by the name of Aspinall.
Huh. Aspinall must be good.
Yeah, he must be. But then again, like John Jones, it seems to me is like the Mayweather of MMA. He's a guy that's still undefeated. He's been granted some. Well, he's not undefeated technically, but he hasn't lost in a while, in a long time. He's been giving some favorable decisions. He keeps being giving opportunities, even though he hasn't done much later in his career, and people want to see him lose, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard some people say some bad shit about John Jones, but I don't know much about him. Like I said, man, he's, I'm as casual to this sport as you can possibly be. But apparently he from the way it sounds, he gets a lot of privileges. I mean, when I see him fight, he looks deadly, but I'm not how you say, I'm not an expert fan of the MMA, so anything looks good, especially when you're striking.
Sergeant in the chat says the fight won't be good. Quack says, tell Recognize he has to watch the fight by himself. I don't want to catch him over on Sobers' channel. Oh,
damn. But I do the Quacks.
He's giving you the heads up, man. Don't show up over there.
Sounds like a threat.
It does sound like a threat, huh? Sexual assault threat, if you ask me.
Quacks, calm down.
I think you got good grounds for litigation here, Recognize.
Yeah, I don't like this. I don't like it at all.
Recognize in his younger days, he used to settle things with his fists. Now he does it with a lawyer.
Now I'll get my lawyer on you.
He used to clean your clock. Now he just cleans you out via his lawyer, financially.
I used to knock people's lights out. Now I get their lights turned off.
Hey, that's a good one, man. Yeah, I still remember that story you told me, man. I guess that dude that was calling you, knocked him out, and then you went to your apartment, and then the guy was calling you out from the street.
Oh yeah, that guy was a warrior, bro.
What was the story you told me? Some guys showed up. Some guys showed up from another neighborhood, talking shit or something, and some of the guys from your neighborhood beat them up and stripped them naked or something. It's like, what the fuck?
Oh yeah. I mean, maybe not naked, but like I remember, there was some crazy times, man. There was no cameras around, so it was easier.
What a story, man! Stripping. I mean, that's something Mike Tyson could. Yeah, that's something Mike Tyson could appreciate, maybe.
You imagine this. There was no cameras around. 24-hour cameras, right? Like cameras was almost like a foreign thought. You could put a little camera that follows you 24/7. There was none of that.
Yeah,
so
that's
it was on.
Some people have a hard time wrapping their heads around that concept. I still remember. I don't know if I mentioned this during the 9/11 episode we did over at Sector Renaissance that there's a thread archived from the Something Awful forums and it's the 9/11 thread as it was happening live, and somebody who said, "Holy shit! A plane just crashed into the World Trade Center," and this dude had a webcam. Now, of course, back in those days, the webcams you couldn't really stream video; you could only stream like pictures or one frame per 5 seconds or something. So he was actually showing pictures from his apartment how he could see the crash. I'm thinking, whoa, that's the best you could do, man. Unless you had some sort of satellite feed or something, which who the fuck would have that? Now everyone's beaming video from left to right across the world, man. It's amazing.
Dude, with today's technology, you'll get like 500 videos of that crash.
Well, I'm trying to figure out what was a similar event that's happened since then. I mean, well, the fucking Las Vegas shooting. A lot of people took video of that, and some people even allege that there were more videos out there, but they got mysteriously taken away by the cops.
Well, I know that it definitely was more videos out there because there's some videos now you can't find them again that were out on YouTube and throughout social media that you cannot find them. And the only conclusion I could come to is that they were like, "Give me that video," and you can't play it again. And when this person showed the video, you can clearly see that they edited out something. If you don't know what video I'm talking about, it's the one where the girl's screaming, "Oh my God, it looks like a military plane."
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Well,
she's from an apartment.
Well, that's abroad though. What do broads know about planes, right?
Well, she said it looks like a military plane. That's what she said.
Yeah, but I mean, to a woman, a car looks like a fucking boat or something. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I don't know about that one. But yeah, man. One thing that I'm sure of is there's a couple of film reels from my Hollywood career or LA career, rather, not Hollywood, that are missing now, and I'm glad they're missing, man, because that wasn't some of my best work early on. Once we went to digital, now that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I think it's still, and from my connections, from my DVD days, I think some of your videos still flowing around like on the underground. Yeah,
yeah, it may be, yeah. Some of my best work, man. And by the way,
it's a lot of money. It makes a lot of money.
I worked in post-production. That people think I was on camera, like Mike Tyson showing my ass cheeks. None of that. At least not that people know of, market-wise. Well, listen, I think we covered it all here. I think we, I don't even know, man. That's a problem, though, where there's not that much going on next week. So we'll try to, I'll try to figure out something, how to do some videos. But Jimmy doesn't show up anymore, man. Well, he showed up yesterday for the countdown show. I guess he's still partying now.
He's ready for the revolution.
Yeah, he's ready for the white revolution. All right, well, listen, thank you, Recognize, for being on, man. Always appreciate it. Everybody that called in, everybody that donated with the super chat as well. Shout out to you guys. Hope you guys enjoy the fights. Hope you guys enjoy the show. We'll try to be back this week later on with something else. Oh, we got Gonzalo dropping by last minute here. Gonzalo, you're still there?
Hey, how's it going, Mr. BDA?
I'm doing fantastic, Gonzalo. Hope you're doing fantastic as well. Anything else you want to say before we go? You want to address the crowd or?
Kind of like what I thought. You said something about the motif. Netflix, they're doing the thing. They're getting into boxing, but you can never dictate like how a card will go if it's successful or not. Like, but in the end of the day, what happened was you got a draw. You had some Zoomers versus Boomers or whatever you call them. And then you had the main card, the female card. I think that was a draw as well. It was controversial, but then the main event was kind of like neither here nor there. Who won or who lost it, in your opinion, BD? I don't know. Did Tyson go out on his shield? Did he lose credibility? I mean, he's an all-time legend. He went the distance. He didn't get knocked out. So did Jake Paul look like the loser here, or did Mike Tyson walk away as with his dignity? I don't know.
Well, from what I'm reading the crowd at the end, people were booing. And from what I'm reading, people on the Discord here, people were saying that it was a horrendous main event. Same thing in the chat. So I mean, they got paid, so I guess it's a financial success, but I don't know if they're going to be able to, they were trying to say, hey, what about a rematch? What about who? Mike Tyson said, I went toe to toe with with a younger man. I'm thinking, I don't think Tyson understands what toe to toe means anymore. Man, I think maybe he fried his brain where he doesn't understand that concept anymore. But yeah, man, I mean, it was a lot of hype. Yes.
It's not the same. It's not the same.
No.
One day you're young, and then the next day you're not the same. Life is like that, man. It's just I'm not gonna cry. You said, "Hey, Gonzalo, don't cry." I'm not crying, man.
But I was kidding around.
But you know what I mean, man. I will say this. I think Netflix is good for boxing, but let's do it differently. Not like these fucking whatchamacallit, these I know it's a gimmick thing nowadays, and people are gonna want to see that. But if they didn't learn from this, at the end of the day, it's not that exciting. The best fight was actually the Ramos versus Barrios, a true boxing fight.
Yeah, that was pretty good. That was good matchmaking. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So yeah, maybe if Netflix can do some real cards,
and you can get some fans by it was a good fight.
Absolutely. So yeah, so hopefully maybe Netflix stays in the business, and they can maybe they'll force the Saudis to up their game even more. You never know, man. You just never know. All right, well, listen, we got to go, but shout out to Recognize, shout out to Gonzalo. Like I said, everybody who called in, everybody that donated the super chat, shout out to you guys. Really appreciate it. And like I said, we'll try to be back with another show later on this week. I think it's going to be one of those gimmick shows where we just, talk about historical stuff, or maybe if there's a big piece of news that comes out, that always gives us fuel to talk about something and do a show.
For the Divino fight versus Droese and Ramirez, that if it wasn't fight of the year, like you said, it was certainly a candidate for fight of the year last year. Absolutely. So looking forward to that, man.
Absolutely. No, you're absolutely right, man. Well, listen, that's about it for today or tonight, this evening. Hopefully people enjoy the fights, enjoy the rest of your evening and the rest of your weekend, and we'll catch you